Welcome to Smashing Success Stories. I am your host, Karen. I'm a speaker, trainer, and consultant. This podcast is meant to inspire people who want results without compromising who they are. This is for folks that want to stay true to themselves while living in a world that challenges our humanity. So welcome, humans, champions, legends, to Smashing Success Stories. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're doing this together. Let's get started. Today we're going to be discussing progress. We have pasts. We have life experience. And it's absolutely important to revere our past because there are memories, there are things that we care about. We got where we are because of our experiences that happened in the past. So those memories, they serve as motivation, they serve as fuel, they serve as that spark that reignites us when we really just get dragged down by life and kind of lose the light sometimes. However, memories and especially nostalgia can have both an extremely positive impact on us, but it also can play tricks on our minds. And that nostalgia piece especially will kind of conflate what actually happened and how we feel about what happened, and we almost tell ourselves a story about it, right? However, reverence for the past, it can be a powerful tool as long as it doesn't hold us back. The era that we're living in right now, it's not great. There are great things that are happening, but there's a huge focus on how bad things are, and there should be, because we need to progress through this. We're going to talk about some things, especially toward the end, because anybody who's listened to this program, hey, welcome back. Always glad to have you. Y'all know that whenever we discuss a concept, we will always have solutions toward the end, because I always want to end on a high note. And for anybody that's new here, surprise, we're going to talk about different sides of the equation. We're going to look at things from multiple perspectives, but at the end, we're always going to focus on the solution. So buckle up. We'll definitely get to that. So all of this is brought up because what we run into, both as a society as well as individuals, is we kind of grasp onto what we know because it's comfortable, because it's familiar. And just saying that, it almost sounds ridiculous, right? Like we lean into what we know. Of course we do. However, the discomfort of what awaits us is worth going through the unknown. Because progress, friends, it is an inevitable part of human nature. It is inevitable. We evolve, we grow as individuals, as cultures, as a global society. Our anatomy, our bodies, our hormones, the way we feel about things, and we have to, because our external environment changes so much, and even our bodies regenerate and refresh so much. So all of this evolution is just an innate, inherent part of being human. The irony is that we as humans also push back and kind of fight change, even though it is, one more time, inevitable. So let's go ahead and talk about nostalgia. Nostalgia can be a good thing. Nostalgia, when looking back, it can be a hindrance, because sometimes we make ourselves believe that what had happened is better than how things are. There's two examples that I'll go ahead and drop in the show notes. One, there's a wonderful film called Midnight in Paris, and it's about an author who is in Paris with his girlfriend at the time, and he finds this kind of magical spot where he stands and a bus comes and pick him up, or a train, trolley, whatever, and when he gets on it and gets off, he's in the same exact physical location, but he's transported back to the time of Ernest Hemingway and authors of that time. And as he's talking to the folks and talking to the authors and talking to the folks in the area, a lot of times they'll think about, oh, we wish that we were back in this time. And then he takes them to the spot, they go back to that time, and then when they talk to the artist of that era, they're like, oh, we wish we were around during the Renaissance. And then you go back to that time, and it's just this cycle of repeating, oh, things were better back then, back then, back then. And their influences are explaining that their influences were living in a better time. And you can keep going back. It's not better. And then people continually look to that past thinking that it's going to be better, and it's not. We can have the inspiration from the past, but we can't go back there. And again, I promise it's not going to be better. Another really good example is a song called Bag Lady by Erykah Badu. I'll, again, go ahead and throw the YouTube link in the show notes. But the crux of the song is about how this woman is going around, getting on the bus. People don't want to help her out with her bags. They don't want to be around her because they can see all of that stuff is dragging her down. And then when Erykah gets to the hook and then we get to a bridge, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And then the theme of the song, the solution, and I love that she's in the solution, is she says, I bet you love will make it better. And let's think about that for a moment, right? We are never going to be fulfilled by looking to the past and thinking, oh, things were better then. It's okay to look back on those memories because they do feel good. There's a reason why we have photo albums, whether they be digital or physical. There's a reason why we think about these wonderful experiences that we've had, places that we've visited, friends that we've made along the way, amazing achievements that we have had in our lives. I just made a list of my top favorite achievements that I have accomplished in my life. And the environment in which I had achieved these things sucked. But the wonderful thing is it provided me the inspiration to get through it and to get out of it. And I learned some of the best lessons from it. And this song talking about love, it's not talking about looking at the past and finding love in that. It's talking about finding love now. And it's important that we do that. Because finding love in the now, finding ways that we can progress moving forward, those are how we get strong, we develop that emotional intelligence, and it helps prepare us for the change that will always happen. And even though we will push back a little bit, we'll be resistant to it because that's just human nature, we are stronger. So we have stronger legs to stand on to keep walking forward. Memories are important, but we can't get lost in the past. Another example, I'm a huge fan of the film The Matrix. It's my second favorite movie of all time. Very close second to, of course, The Princess Bride. But there's a scene where Neo is in the car with the group, and he's sitting, of course, next to Trinity, and Morpheus is in the front passenger seat. And as they're driving, Neo sees a restaurant, and he's just like, oh, gosh. And Trinity says what? And he goes, I used to eat there. And she kind of clocks it because she knows he didn't really eat there. He was in the Matrix. His memories are telling him. The programming told him he ate there. And then he says this quote, really good noodles. Now, this is a really meta moment, right? Talking about it, it might not necessarily fully contextualize what's really happening. But in brief, before Neo was rescued by Morpheus and his crew, he was literally a human battery where he was being fed thoughts and memories in this system where machines were harvesting his energy. And then ultimately he was freed. And then now he's in a place back into the Matrix. And he's still thinking about things that the program told him. Meanwhile, he's looking to free his mind. He's not necessarily caught up or pulled back by this idea of the noodles, but it's just a really cool example of how something that our brains tell us was really good might not be as good. And even though this is an extreme example because it literally wasn't a real experience, our brains can kind of do that to us sometimes, right? I'll also throw another example in as well. There's a wonderful show called Queer as Folk. It's from, I want to say, the early aughts. And one of the greatest characters on the show, played by Sharon Gless. And she played this character, Debbie Novotny. She was in the gay community, in the gayborhood, in the show. She was everybody's mom. She was everybody's favorite server at the local restaurant. But anyway, she's talking to her son, who's kind of in a limbo. He quit his job to go move into another area. It didn't work out with the gentleman that he went to go move with. They broke up. He comes back home. And he's explaining to her that he doesn't know what he wants to do. He was thinking about going back to his old job. He ultimately does go back to his old job. It doesn't work out. He quits. He absolutely hates it. So he's sitting down talking to Debbie, and he's like, I feel so lost. This one's got this thing going on. These folks have this thing going on. Like, what's my place? Where do I stay? So Debbie says this really wonderful thing to him and just kind of like reminds him of who he is. But the thing about Debbie is that she knows how to ground people. So she throws this quote at him. If you've got 1 foot in tomorrow and 1 foot in yesterday, you'll piss on today. That's a good example of why it's important to stay firmly planted in where we are. And while it is important to move forward, we need to pick that direction of moving forward. Because again, we can't go back. Our past serves a purpose, and it's important. We have our memories, and we have especially the lessons that we've learned so that we can implement those things into our lives moving forward so we don't keep making the same mistake. Y'all remember The Lion King? Rafiki from The Lion King, right? Where he's having this conversation with Mufasa and then bam, hits him with a stick. And then he's like, what did you do that for? He's like, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. And he goes, yeah, but it hurts now. And the Rafiki goes, the past can hurt. You can either run from it or learn from it. And that, friends, is the key to progress. I'll take it even a step further. Some folks get stuck in it, and I get it because I totally understand wanting to hang on to something to be angry. But, truth be told, when we hang on to something that hurt us and feel angry about it, what we're really masking is our sadness about it. And if we're feeling sad about it, it's okay. We're allowed to be sads. Even baddies get a case of the saddies. It happens to the best of us. But we acknowledge it, we accept it, and we move forward. It's important to acknowledge the things that we have seen, what we've experienced, and what has happened to us. It's part of us. These things are part of this beautiful puzzle that comprise us as individuals. But are we getting dragged down by all of those things? Are we getting stuck? Are we progressing slowly because of, once again, that baggage, that whole bag lady idea? So we need to acknowledge that the things that have happened to us, all of our experiences are part of us, and we just gotta keep it moving. Memories are important. We hold the memories of those that we love, especially in difficult times. It's our love that inspires us to keep pushing, but to get through something, never to hold us back. And what happens in the past, it may happen again, but we don't know that unless there's actual proof. So without proof, the only thing holding us back from moving forward is our excuses. Don't get caught up in that shit. Let reality reveal what's true instead of letting our fears and judgment get the better of us. If it hasn't happened yet, there's still the opportunity to break patterns and witness the beauty of progress. This goes for life itself, ourselves, our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas, all of it. Feelings are not facts. They drive us because they're compelling, and I get it. I'm a passionate person. I'm often guided by intuition and how I feel about something. But when making major decisions, things always work out best when I sleep on a big decision, if I have the luxury of time. And more often than not, I do have the time. It's me that's trying to rush through something. If I can get at least a day, I need to sleep on it before I make a major decision, I'm probably going to make a better decision. You know when I should have done this? When I impulsively bought a motorcycle. Yeah, that was... I don't make a lot of impulse purchases, but a motorcycle was definitely a big one. Back to progress. Progress is great. Progress over time is a wonderful thing. We get to witness cool stuff like medical breakthroughs, advancements in communication, which brings us as a global community closer. Transportation improvements, this makes it more efficient for us to move around, and again, brings us closer to each other. The problem that we run into is when progress causes harm. A big example now are these data centers. They are massive. They are consuming so many resources. They are releasing tons of heat, air pollution. They are expensive, and communities are the ones paying for it. We never consented to them. They're completely destroying water supplies, causing massive environmental harm, and they don't provide any practical value. And very few of us want them. The people that want them are the fucking billionaires and then billionaire bootlickers. I don't want to hear about, oh, I don't have creative talent and I don't have creative skill to creating a painting or a drawing, and generative AI can do that for me. It helps me be creative. You know what also helps be creative? Working with an actual artist. Brainstorming with an artist. I can't draw for shit, but I always have an idea when I'm commissioning somebody or when I'm talking to an artist about what I want to see. I can't see things in my mind. So yeah, I would be the kind of person where this generative AI would 100% be targeted to, but I fucking refuse to use it. Because there are people that do it, and that technology, in addition to the amount of harm that it is causing, is also appropriating the work of other artists. So why not just go to artists and get the work? Because people feel entitled and they're lazy. And the thing that sucks about all of this is that it's displacing people. It's using land, and that land is going to be polluted for a very long time, if not forever. For what? So you can fucking generate a cat video? Go to a cat cafe, interact with some actual cats. The worst thing about this, though, is how much harm they're creating. And it's not, there's this whole promise of, well, the more we use this, the more we learn from it, the more we could use it to cure diseases and to do this. And it's not being used for that. Looking at pictures of cats and stealing artwork from people isn't curing cancer. Curing cancer cures cancer. Or even better, here we go. Let's actually not make healthcare a for-profit business and actual focus on treating people. I know, what a concept. But the TLDR on these data centers is that they're not actually doing anything beneficial. And I don't want to hear about how somebody's business's chatbot can answer messages and how, oh, I can reach out to customer support and the AI can help me. Fuck that. People help people. Where did that data come from? People provided that data that ultimately provides help. And ask any customer when they're talking to a human versus talking to a chatbot. Who do they actually want to talk to? I'm telling you, and I've worked with people that have asked for it because they suck at working with people and they think a fucking robot would be better for them. They hate that too. On that note of technology, cobalt mining in the Republic of Congo and cell phones, especially for newer devices and electric vehicles, the ways in which that cobalt is being mined, it exploits workers. So that's not to say that electric vehicles or cell phones are not something that are positive. The demand for the newest iPhone or a specific type of electric vehicle is enabling the exploitation of these workers. I will share a resource that the Department of Labor published in 2024 that acknowledges that slave labor, exploited workers, are the ones that are being exploited to harvest cobalt for these technologies. And it's not to say that all cell phones are using this exploitive method. It's the newest one because we're like, oh, we got to have the newest one. And we really got to get out of these habits. Another example of how progress being harmful is the Tuskegee syphilis study. And again, I'll go ahead and include some resources in the show notes. And this is where a program had caused immense harm to the Black community of Tuskegee. So much so that it was after decades, which is so unfortunate. We have done the Black community in the U.S. such a disservice and have caused so much harm to these people that deserve, at minimum, reparations, and at a very basic level, our respect, and we definitely owe the Black community immense. Even President Clinton himself issued a public apology, and the National Center of Bioethics and Research and Healthcare at Tuskegee University was created to make sure that we don't cause this type of harm again. And again, I'll include some resources in the show notes. These two examples that we just discussed, the cobalt mining and the Tuskegee syphilis study, these two things could have been done ethically if the people providing this environment were actually invested in progress for the sake of humanity and not causing harm, being greedy, and, well, being racist. Because both of these examples are exploiting Black people. There's another example where European settlers caused catastrophic effect on the land that was well maintained by civilizations of First Nations cultures. I thought of this because I was reminded of the Three Sisters planting method and how over time it became less of a common practice, even though it was completely viable and sustainable. And I've been going for a while, so I won't elaborate too far on this, but I will go ahead and link a resource in the show notes. And the crux of this is with the loss of farmland and the introduction of European staples, including sugar, flour, and butter, the ancient diet of the First Nation civilizations was almost completely replaced, and the results were catastrophic. It's almost as if people who are indigenous to an area, who have cultivated the land, developed communities, and come up with best practices, actually know what they're doing, versus people, white people, who come over and invade that land and then treat it as if they were entitled to it, take over, and then destroy the community, and then go, oh, we're short on stuff. What do we do? You did it to yourselves. Maybe make peace with the people that were there first and learn to coexist with them. What a concept. Again, this is where progress is harmful. Agricultural yields. This is a quote directly from PubMed Central. Agriculture has evolved and taken many forms since first arising in human history at about 12,000 to 23,000 years ago. More recently, a focus on productivity has created high-yielding agroecosystems with 1 to 1.5 increase in grain yield per year for the world's 4 major grain crops. However, this rise in agriculture productivity with conventional industrialized agriculture has come with consequences. Some of these issues include impaired water quality, rampant solar erosion, losses of soil organic matter, the cornerstone of most soil ecosystem services, by 18 to 60%, increased grower reliance on agriculture inputs, and the negative consequences of climate change. Ironically, these unintended environmental consequences, driven by a myopic focus on productivity, may actually have hindered agriculture's ability to reduce global hunger. Like, can we just sit with that for a minute? We try to make more of something and it's detrimental to the environment, like on a scale that is, for me personally, on a scale that is for me unfathomable. And instead of producing enough to treat a major problem, reduce global hunger, it's actually harming. This is one of those things where the intent to do something causes harm, and regardless of what the intent was, the harm is there. So thinking about it on a small scale, a confrontation between two folks, where somebody does something to another person, and then the person who received the harm says, hey, that thing you did, it was harmful to me. And the person who caused the harm says, oh, that wasn't my intention. That's not how you fix the issue. You fix the issue by acknowledging the harm that you caused and then don't do it again. Say I'm sorry. And then actually take the steps to not do that again. To err is human. It's part of who we are. But we gotta make it right. And these problems, they're not isolated to singular events or person to person. We just talked about an example where it's literally affecting global hunger. And these problems, they're systemic. And they're rooted in an unfortunate, prevalent thing. Imperialism, colonization, white supremacy, racial and cultural oppression, hoarding wealth and resources, which creates poverty, commercialization and privatizing essential goods and services. And if anybody is going to push back on this, look how every industrialized country is doing this, and witness how we here in the US are absolutely failing at this. And for the folks that don't know, they fall into two camps. One I've got space for, those who just haven't heard about these things, haven't researched them, so on and so forth. It hasn't been on their radar for several reasons. The kind perspective that I hold is that they are sheltered, but the dead-ass way to put it is that they have privilege because it ostensibly doesn't affect them. Haha, but it does. We are all affected by this bullshit. The other camp are the folks that have been presented with the information, but the cognitive dissonance and the denial are strong, and their emotional maturity is lacking. I'm not going to be nice about this. If presented with the information, presented with facts, if somebody's still pushing back on it, I'm not going to argue with people on the internet about this, but I have a platform and I'm going to use it. When provided with factual information about the wrongs and harms that are being caused by people and things that are oppressing us, if that is still something that makes somebody go, no, I'm not going to be nice about that. You are being blatantly, willfully, and volunteering to be ignorant about it. And I'm using the word ignorant. There are plenty of other words that I really want to use. I'm doing my best to avoid being ableist, but ignorant is the kindest way that I can put it. Look, we can go toe-to-toe and we can definitely throw blows at each other, but one thing that we are not going to be doing here is being shitty. We can do better. The conundrum we face is folks get caught up in how things used to be, or they crave advances that are destructive and divisive. What is the solution? I promise. And I'm not the kind of person that says the word I promise just to set you up for something and get you excited. I'm not in sales, so I don't give a shit. I'm saying this because this is my project. This is what I am supposed to be doing. This is what I am choosing to be doing versus doing that safe and consistent thing. So I am saying this with my full chest, y'all. I promise you there is a better way, and the way is communities, groups. When shit gets real, we know the people who are affected by our decisions. That's why it's important to do things as a community. Because when we're looking at somebody in the face and listening to their insight, listening to their input, respecting them, ideally, we then make decisions that are not harmful to those people. I really hope that makes sense. We're living in a world where this whole idea about individualism and self-made and I've got this and I don't want anybody messing with my stuff, and we are so wrapped up in shit that doesn't matter that we are losing sight of the things that do. We are in this together. Y'all hear me say that every outro. We are in this together. I don't just mean me talking to you, listening to this right now. This podcast is for anybody listening to it and for anybody that never hears it. It's the message that's important. When I say we are in this together, I mean that shit. We are all in this together. We, this global community of billions of people. Some we like, some we do not like at all. Regardless of how we feel about them, we're still in it together. So when I say this, we are in this together as a community. We need to think about people and how they are affected. Whenever we do something, whether it is taking steps toward progress or if we need to go to a protest and make our voices known that what is being done, what is being proposed, the decisions that are being made without our consent, things that are being done even though we voted against them, we need to stand up and make our voices known as a community. Because another promise I'm going to give y'all, there are more of us than there are of the people trying to oppress us. Period. Whole chest. And the more people realize that, the closer we come together as a community, the more impact we're going to have. And the progress that will transpire because of that community is going to be positive. Another solution is having a clearly defined goal. We need to be very clear about what we are working toward, why it's important, the impact that we are intending to achieve, and how we are going to do it without causing harm. Again, the examples that we used before, yeah, of course, harvesting gold, harvesting cobalt. This can absolutely be done while also taking care of workers. The advances in the technology that benefit from these goods are providing vast sums of wealth to very few people. So we know it's a profitable endeavor. Imagine if it was spread out a little bit more. We can solve way more problems, and now people have access to the technology, and the people that actually provide the goods that give us this technology are taken care of. It's almost like there's a symbiosis that happens between taking care of people that take care of us. It's wild, right? Because when multiple sides benefit from that, and not some rich asshole, beautiful things can happen. Are y'all seeing where I'm going with this? Community, advancement, consideration, compassion, empathy. So when we stay in the solution and we're going to start thinking about things to consider when we think about progress, we need to think about these things, whether it's a technological solution, if we're working on a construction project. Here's the framework. We need to consider the following. Is this ethical? Is it a collaboration? Is this going to benefit many? Is this going to be shared? Is it a win all around? Is this beneficial and not destructive? Is it inspiring? These are the minimum considerations. The minimum. And also, as individuals, how do we prepare for this change, which is inevitable? This might sound familiar. Acknowledge that we often push back on change, but we ultimately adapt. Understand that progress is going to happen, whether we like it or not. Recognize the role we play. Fight against the things that harm us and embrace the things that benefit us. And always, as with all things, stick tight to our communities. Help where we can. Lift each other up and stay strong. Stay together. Life will have its ups and downs, but we get through it as a community. We are in this together. I'm going to leave y'all on this bar from, once again, Debbie Novotny from Queer as Folk. Mourn the losses, because they are many, but celebrate the victory, because they are few. Thanks for being here. New episodes go live every Monday and Thursday. Subscribe, share, and follow Smashing Success Stories on Instagram and YouTube. Bonus content and exclusives are available to patrons. Check out patreon.com/Smashing Success Stories for membership tiers and details. And always remember, whoever you are, wherever you are, just know that you are loved and that you are important. We are in this together. Till next time.